طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. I think about the notes I should talk about it after Maghrib when everybody will be here inshallah. So we started the Google Classroom and then we'll show you how to, and then Brother Ibrahim inshallah will share with you the codes where you can find all the notes. Just for the time till Maghrib bi'idhnillahi ta'ala will continue completing the study of the topic of Surah Al-Anfal. The study of the topic of Surah Al-Anfal. So in brief, this is what we were talking about last time, the study of Surah Al-Anfal. We said the topic tree, and then just adopting this methodology of the tree. So the main topic is attaining criterion to establish the truth and uproot falsehood. Just, very simple lines. The main base is establishing the truth and uprooting falsehood, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the first page of the surah. The trunk, which is going to be, upon which is going to be based establishing the truth and uprooting the falsehood, is moving and heading toward the just cause, the truth. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كَمَا أَخْرَجَكَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَيْتِكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَإِنَّ فَرِيقًا مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لَكَارِهُونَ. So just, So our main topic is the ayah 8:8, to firmly establish the truth and wipe out falsehood. Okay, so, and then, moving, heading toward the just cause. So that's, as a believer, we are instructed and commanded to make our direction is to stand for the way of Allah and to travel in the way of the truth, so to attain the ultimate, goal, which is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything here, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال, كما أخرجك ربك من بيتك بالحق أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا. He said, كما أخرجك. Similarly, when your Lord brought you, O Prophet, out of your home for a just cause. So the Prophet ﷺ left, even for the caravan, and of course for the caravan, for the just cause. And the fight, if it's going to happen, and it did happen, is for the just cause, which is in the truth. And that's how, as a believer, building his and her base on establishing the truth and uprooting falsehood, and the first step that they need to do is to head and move toward the just cause. So the branch ones, Allah's intervention when criterion is achieved. This is in a very simplified way. Yeah? So we said, because heading to the just cause requires the characteristic of the believer, which are the true believers. So that comes together. When we head to the just cause, someone has to have has the right provision. Right provision, we said it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, the dhikr of Allah, and the heart tremble at the remembrance of Allah, and the increase of the iman when they hear the recitation of the Qur'an, and so on. The branch one, which from 9 to 19, so from 9 to 19 here is, we have the إِسْتَسْتَغِيثُونَ رَبَّكُمْ. So it started, behold, when you were, imploring out to your Lord. So here, فَاسْتَجَابَ رَبُّكُمْ أَنِّي مُمِدُّكُمْ بِأَلْفٍ مِّنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. So what did we call this? We called it, on the wrong slide. Yeah. So we called Allah's intervention when criterion achieved. So this is very important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only intervened, first by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the time is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who determined the time. However, what are the conditions from the believer to be fulfilled? Eight, the sincere intention of establishing the truth, uprooting the falsehood. And then to get ready for it is to really to be provided by all fulfill the condition of being true believers. Someone who truly has true connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the thing. So Allah then will intervene. Allah will intervene. So here, the intervention here of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Ghazwat Badr to be for us as a divine law, which is mean. So this is not unique or specific to Ghazwat Badr. No, this is for every group of believers standing for the sake of the truth, fulfilling this condition. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with them. So we said from 9 to 19, if you travel here, you can say how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we talked about that last time. So to 19. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا لَقِيتُمْ, for example, look here, if it was not you believer who killed them, but it was Allah who did so, nor was it you who threw, but it was Allah who did so, rendering the believers a great favors. Surely Allah is all hearing, all knowing. And then subhanallah, as such Allah frustrated, and Allah also that Allah will weaken the plot of the disbelievers. And this is very important. If you disbelievers seek the decision, victory, the defeat has come to you. And if you desist from hostilities, it is best for you. But if you return to war, we will return, and never you be availed by your large company at all. Even it should increase, and that is because Allah is with the believers. But here, for example, maybe another translation, he said, but if you revert to mischief, he will again chastise you, and your hosts, howsoever numerous, will never be of any avail to you. So this is very important one. If Allah is with you, wallah, if the whole world will be jinn and ins and jinn kind and mankind, they will not be able to touch or to harm. So everything that happened to the believer is by the will of Allah. And if it's happening, it's for their advantage. It's happening, it's for their advantage. So this is, I think, 19. Okay. Then, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَتَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَسْمَعُونَ. So from here, from 20 to 29 is requirement to achieve the criteria. The requirement for a believer, what are the true instruction for the believer to achieve the criteria? Say, hear and obey, answer the call of Allah, enjoy good, forbid evil, gratefulness, be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, avoid failing Allah's covenant, which is the betrayal. Then this is where we stopped, I believe. Then dealing with the disbeliever. So the other branch is totally another topic, which is dealing with the disbeliever, comes from 30. Okay, so if we go to 29, ayah 29. So ayah 29, in tattaqullah. So you see, if you be mindful of Allah, if you have believed, if you feel Allah, He will grant you criterion. So the granting of criterion is based on the condition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Starting from 30, Allah is addressing to the plot of the disbeliever. Look how they plot against you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of the planner. Then when they hear the recitation, the revelation recited, they mock it and they reject it. And they said, if this is the truth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you should rain down stones upon us. It's all arrogance. You see the characteristic and the attribute of these people. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about how they spending their money, how they pray around the Kaaba. Their prayer at the sacred house was nothing but whistling and clapping. It does not have worship, does not have devotion, does not have connection. It's just a form. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, surely these believers spend their wealth to hinder others from the path of Allah. They will continue to spend it. Here, they will continue to so spend until their effort become a source of intense regret for them. Inshallah is happening now. inshallah. And then they will be vanquished. And then these deniers of the truth will be driven to hell. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to separate between the evil and good, and then pile up all the evil to cast it in hellfire. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. طيب. Now the next section starts with وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ مَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِلرَّسُولِ. So from 41 truly to the end, almost from so that's from 41 to 71, you know. So it's really a variety of ayat. We try to put them in one text or one topic, or group them in one topic. So what is this topic? Is to revealing Allah's unseen intervention or help in fulfillment of the criterion, along with instruction, admonition to assure such an intervention. So if you look at this ayat, all the ayat from 41 to 71, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, uncovering or revealing to the believers many aspects of the unseen, because in the beginning we said Allah's intervention, it was, the, let's say, the decisive intervention, the one that the believer that they were aware of, they were aware of the rain. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them about the objective of the rain. They were aware of the angels because they felt the angel around them, Now in this section, in this branch 4, the unseen was to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plan how it will be always fulfilled, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala غالب على أمره will fulfill all His will subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look at the ayah. So here talking about ghanima, but the ghanima in reality, here for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about وَلَوْ تَوَاعَدْتُمْ لَاخْتَلَفْتُمْ فِي الْمِيعَادِ. That's one aspect of the unseen, that nobody will, subhanAllah, can manage or can make it to be right except Allah. And He said, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and if you had made an appointment to meet, you would have missed the appointment. But it was so that Allah might accomplish a matter already distant. So this is a matter of the unseen that nobody knows about. So what we called it, we said, revealing Allah's unseen intervention for this thing to happen, or help in fulfillment of the criterion. Because He said in this ayah, look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال, in the day of the Furqan. So this is, you're going to distribute it to the needy and so on. So if you truly believe in Allah and what we revealed to our servant on that decisive day, and what we have revealed to our servant on the day of a criterion, you see, on the day of a criterion. So that's one of the unseen that nobody knows about. It's how they met exactly at the right time, in the right place. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was conducting and managing that. That's one. So here when we, again, so what we have said here. I'm sorry. Revealing Allah's unseen intervention and or help in fulfillment of the criterion. So there's a criterion is going to be achieved. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to lead the believer to achieve that clear separation between evil and good, and to be, manifest? And that is the manifestation of the deen of Islam, the truth in the Qur'an, that what prevail and that will conduct the whole universe. It's not all what we do as laws or the human beings they do. They can all have all the machine guns, but it's not going to work. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one who control, conduct, and manage all this creation. So He's the truth of the Qur'an. However, these things like how they met is Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you have made an appointment to really draw our attention to reflect. He said, even if the two armies had made an appointment to meet, both would have certainly missed it. Still, it transpired so Allah may establish what He had destined, that those who were to perish and those who were to survive might do so after the truth had been made clear to both. See? And bayina. A matter will perish upon evidence, and those who lived in faith will live upon evidence that they are on the right path, and the other they are on the wrong path. Other aspect of the unseen is the vision that the Prophet ﷺ saw in his dream. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was, even the lutf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the very caring of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the believers, even of their feeling, their emotion, their psychology. Had the Prophet ﷺ told them that he saw in his dream a big army, they would have been demoralized. They would have been like kind of, subhanAllah, defeated inside. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, remember, O Prophet, when Allah showed them to you in your dream a few, and if he had shown them to you as many, you believer will have lost courage and will have disputed in the matter of whether to fight. But Allah saved you from that. Indeed, He is known of that within the breast. So you see, this type of the unseen, so subtle, that subhanAllah, how much of these things is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caring about you, helping you without knowing. We are so clueless of what Allah is doing for us. How many things? I mean, imagine you sleep the whole night and you still wake up safe. And we all lived the COVID time. Something that you don't see, make everybody like dying. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's this very, subhanAllah, subtle thing that really managing, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping us, is bestowing upon us this infinite favor. Then, remember when He showed them to you, when you met as a few in your eyes, so Allah fulfilled the vision of His prophets, because there were 1,000, 3 times more. But they were actually more than 3 times more. And they were seeing a few. And He made you appear as few in their eyes so that Allah might accomplish a matter already distant. So, and the disbeliever, they see them fewer than their number. So the number of the believer, the disbeliever, they were 1,000 or more. The believer, they were like 319. Yeah? So the believer, they were seeing the disbeliever less than them, so less than 300. And the disbeliever, they seeing the believers less than 300, low. So what happened? To give courage to the believer, and to give, like, subhanAllah, that greed and covetousness of the heart of the disbeliever, craving for what they have, and their, perversity in their heart to lead and to kill. So what is going to happen if they see them fewer? It gives them more courage. So they're going to run toward the fight. But what happened when they were in the middle of the battlefield? Suddenly, they start to see the believer, the double of them. The double of them. And this is in Surah Al-Imran. يَرَوْنَهُمْ مِثْلَيْهِمْ double. رَأْيَ الْعَيْنِ. Like, truly, with their eyes, they see them. It's not an illusion. It's true. So imagine someone heading like with so enthusiasm and courage, and in the middle, he realized that these people are like more than them. Like, subhanAllah, losing that all strength in a second, that's it, that's the defeat. All of this, subhanAllah, nobody knows about it. As I said in the beginning, the intervention was what everybody have seen. The rain, the angels, they felt the angel around them, and so on. So it continued, and then the instruction and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how will you be protecting this great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, safeguarding this favor, that Allah will be with you, that Allah will intervene in ways that He will never even imagine. In a dream, in the eyes, Can you imagine you see things? You are sure that you're seeing it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a way just to comfort your heart and appease. So He make you see what make appease your heart. It's amazing. Then it comes, for example, here, one of the commands, obey Allah and His Messenger, and do not dispute with one another, or you will be discouraged and weakened. Do not dispute, and that, lose courage, and then your strength will depart, and so on. Then another instruction, and do not be like those who went out, the pagans, from their homes arrogantly. So all this instruction, how to protect. That's why what we have said here, so helping fulfill the criteria along with instruction and admonition to assure such intervention. Because if there is no sabr, there is no intervention. If there is dispute, there is no intervention. If there is arrogance, there is no intervention. Okay? And it go, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introducing the law in war. The law in war. I think it's time of prayer. That's why the screen stopped. We'll take the break for the prayer. Inshallah, we'll come back.